Welcome everyone to the PJ's Cast. I'm your host Pierce, alongside of my good pal Dylan. So yesterday we were supposed to have the Kristen O'Neill interview out, but unfortunately she got hurt during practice. I think she's fine and all that, but yeah. Um, so last podcast episode, I predicted two things. Now, I said that if the Islanders lose to the Blackhawks could beat some teams down the stretch in the next couple months and potentially not only cause them to lose their minds as a fan base and the players, but make tangible changes. And I also brought up the possibility of Patrick Waugh being a head coach again. Now, I predicted Patrick Waugh would coach the Ottawa Senators because I thought that would be a perfect fit. But Blackhawks beat the Islanders in overtime. I think they went on a 4-game road trip, lost 4 games, including to the Blackhawks in overtime, and that was their final straw. They fired Lane Lambert, and now they got in Patrick Waugh, who is coaching for the first time in almost 10 years now. His last year was 2016. He coached 3 years with the Avs. Obviously, his first one, Avalanche got 50 plus wins, and he won the Jack Adams. And now he's tasked with turning this Islander season around. So, what do you think about the New York Islanders getting Patrick Waugh?
I honestly don't know because this is a completely different league than it was in 2016. And let's see how Patrick Waugh adjusts. I don't I don't know if this is a better roster than he had in Colorado. I guess it is, but not from a star power standpoint.
No.
This team's clearly not performing well defensively. That's the problem. Like, I don't think Sorokin magically loses, like, goes down to a 905 and it's that he's regressing. Good, it could be. Like, I just don't think it is. Like, we watched that game, they were letting up 2-on-1s left, right, and center to a team that struggles to get offense, and that should be a red flag from the start. Maybe this is the right move. I don't know. It seems like you're another one of those moves you're just kind of shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic sinking, but it could turn it around. But, like, what do they have, like 12 overtime losses now? Like, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This team should not make the playoffs. They have so many contracts locked up. Don't really know how you sell. It's not a good situation to be in Long Island. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's a knee jerk reaction. It's Lou Lamoriello being 81 or 82 years old and not caring about really what happens beyond this year. Hi, Stevie. Other than making the playoffs, and their overtime losses are keeping them in it. Trying to pull up the NHL standings here, and you are right. They have a bunch of long contracts locked in, so can't really rebuild. So, taking a look at the standings, they are 2 points out of the playoffs. They are 2015 and 11, which I don't even know what to say about that. There's the loser
Gotta love
point
the Bettman
system.
point.
Yeah, Bettman point, same thing. Want to pull up their cap friendly here. So we kind of talked about this when the Oilers fired Jay Woodcroft and hired Chris Knobloch. This isn't something that just happened overnight where they're like, oh, we lost. We got to, get a new head coach now. Who's the first guy? Oh, this was Connor McDavid's coach in the OHL. Sign him or hire him now. No, I think this has probably been, decided for at least a week, and probably have been talking for a couple weeks now. And apparently, according to Lou Lamoriello, Patrick Waugh was the only guy they interviewed. And the last straw was obviously them losing the Blackhawks. As soon as they lose the Blackhawks, he's like, "Yeah, we gotta make that change now. We gotta hire Patrick Waugh." Yeah, you talked about it a bit earlier. I don't know how much like when Patrick Waugh was coaching 8 years ago. It's a different game, but this is a guy obviously greatest Canadian goaltender of all time. One of my maybe my favorite like stat like trivia question in NHL history is that Patrick Waugh won 3 Conn Smythes, all of them in 3 different decades, one in the 80s, one in the 90s, and one in the 2000s. Like, this is a guy that wears his heart upon his sleeve, and that mostly worked out for him. But then there's a couple of times where he did the Statue of Liberty save, and then he dropped the puck against the Red Wings a while back. Um, this is a guy like he's wherever he's gone, he's won. Whether he's a goalie at the NHL level, whether that's him coaching the Quebec Ramparts, but trying to save a sinking ship halfway through the season with I don't think a very good team. Like the Islanders were renowned for their defensive structure under Barry Trotz. They were very opportunistic, and obviously they had Varlamov and Sorokin. But this team is getting older, and they don't really have much in the way of prospects. There are a couple bright spots on the Islanders, like Noah Dobson is a dark horse Norris candidate, but then other than that, like what's there to look forward to? I mean, Matt Barzell, Bo Horvat, all great centers, all great players, but there's not that, superstar that's going to set them apart. So I want to look through their cap friendly here. So they have you go, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've been looking at it for the last couple minutes. For starters,
Pure Falls 70.
they are signed Semyon Varlamov till he's 39.
Oh my lord.
Still 3 more years of that Pajot deal. Still
boy.
3 more years of the Anders Lee deal, which I guess is fine. Like the Barzell deal just kicked in, the Horvat deal just kicked in. I can't help but look and think you should probably start retooling, but that's not how Lou operates, clearly. I don't think that is how he will ever operate as a GM.
And who was in their 80s? Oh, yeah, let's rebuild for a team that'll be good when I'm 90.
Listen, if they were smart, they would, but they're not going to. Because,
no.
You're telling me right now, if you were to trade Brock Nelson, who's 32, he has a partial no trade, and he's making $6 million for the rest of this year and next year. You're telling me if you retained half, you couldn't get 2 first-round picks for Brock Nelson?
Oh, easily. Brock Nelson is the perfect guy for the playoffs. A big body, he scores a lot of playoff goals. Yeah, that's the guy you want.
Alex Romanov can get you a first, I think, clearly, because he was a part of that 3-way trade with Doc and the Hawks back, or Doc, the Habs, the Hawks back in 2022. So we know Romanov's value is high for some people. Could trade that asset. The problem is they have all the guys that are over 30 have too much term. I don't think you can move a Palmieri this year. I don't think you can move a Pajot even at the draft this year.
No.
Unless it's a cap dump. But, I mean, who's taking that? Yeah, he's only 31. I don't know, man. It's not a good situation to be in. And they just extended a lot of guys thinking they were going to go back to the playoffs this year. And they very well could. Patrick Waugh could right the ship, and they rattle off an 8-game win streak. And that's kind of all it takes in the Metro right now to get right back in the mix. But there's no signs of that happening anytime soon. And it's going to take, the thing I keep thinking is they've been kind of playing this loose structure under Lambert. I don't know how long it's going to take for Waugh to get his system implemented. And that might take, we've seen with every in-season coach change, unless it's an immediate impact, it takes time. Hell, even look at the Canucks. It took them the whole rest of last year for Talkin to get that system implemented. Now they're great, but it's just it takes time sometimes. You're not going to have a Knobloch or a Sullivan Berube where they come in and right the ship. Hell, another great example is John Hines in Minnesota. It was great the first 10 games or so, but now it's starting to regress back to the mean, it seems like. Also, they are injury prone to shit, and that's very unfortunate. But you got to be careful with these coaching changes, and I hope they made the right decision with Waugh, but only time will tell. And they're running out of time. You don't want to say it, but there's less than 40 games left in the season. You need to figure it out if you want to make the playoffs this year, or you're going to have to start making some very, very, very interesting decisions this offseason. In particular, regarding those players that need extensions starting this summer. I'm looking at Noah Dobson, which is the only player he decided to not give 8 years to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dobson's going to be a pretty penny. I don't care how much you paid Pelech or Pollock. He's going to say, I want 9, and you're going to have to give him 9 or someone else will. So
Blackhawks.
Yeah.
It's coming full circle, baby.
Lou's going to get taken to the coals again like it happened with Barzell if this happens. And the reason it happened with Barzell is because he went for a bridge. I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting 6 months for the Islanders. Now until the draft, I think. It's going to be very interesting.
Pierre Engvall 7 years will give Scott Mayfield 7 years. Like,
Give Varlamov 8 years if you count his last 4-year deal.
oh my god.
Yep.
And yeah, like injured reserve, they still have Casey Cizikas for another 4 years. It's just oof.
Not
Oh
great,
yeah, and
man.
then Rick DiPietro still in the books.
Gotta
Let's see
love
how
the
much longer
Islanders.
for.
And
Well, I think it's a
sorry.
compliance buyout, so it's technically not money against the cap, but they're still paying him money, I think, until the end of the decade.
That's true. I was gonna say, and I think the part that that makes me think the Islanders might have to retool is they have 0 prospects right now. Like
Yeah.
their prospects are
Mhm.
like Simon Holmstrom, who's 21 or 22, I think. And that's it. Like
Yep.
you don't. There's not a lot of guys in the system. If they are, they were guys who were playing well in the CHL when they were overagers, and now they can't even produce in the AHL. I don't know, man. Like you got to get some form of talent in that prospect pool, and they're just not going to do it at this rate if they keep trading their firsts for Bo Horvat, who's a fine player. Like he had a goal against the Hawks. It was a nice goal, but Bo Horvat was never going to make this team a cup contender as good as he is, and that's the reality.
That's kind of the problem with the Islanders is they don't have that guy. Like Matthew Barzal is great, but I still think he's a step below some of the best players in the AHL. Noah Dobson is a legitimate, defender, but this team is just so meh. Like it's not bad, but it's not great. And again, like Patrick Waugh, it's a new coach, a new style of coach, a style of personality. Like Lane Lambert and even Barry Trotz before were very reserved head coaches, but Patrick Waugh again wears his heart on his sleeve. We already saw a video of him, yelling at players at practice, and I don't mind that. This team probably needs it. They're veteran players; they can take that.
Last
I'm not
time they were
against.
good was probably when Trotz was yelling at him. So, sorry.
I say this sometimes. Boomers are good for sports sometimes, and not necessarily like actual boomers, people that were born after World War II, in the 50s, all that. But like the old fashioned mindset, older coaches, the old school way of thinking, and Patrick Waugh definitely has that. But he's also a creative coach. Like he tries new things. Patrick Waugh, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have seeing coaches pull goalies with like 5 minutes left, because it used to be, oh, we'll do it with 2 minutes left or 1 minute left. But there'd be times where he would pull the goalie halfway through the third, and and it would work sometimes. So it's not as if Patrick Waugh is just this old school guy. Maybe the way he presents himself, yeah, but he's open to trying new things. So they got to win against the Stars in the first game with the Metropolitan, how wide open it is. Like we're not a great team, but if they go on a winning streak, get that new coach bump, it could work out. But also, like you said, not every coach that comes in becomes Chris Knobloch, or becomes Craig Berube from 2019, or even Mike Sullivan from 2016. Yeah, you kind of get those few wins, but you're starting to run out of time if you don't go on a giant winning streak now. Like this team is not bad enough to bottom out. They're probably going to be finishing in the teens again, and yeah, I guess I really don't know what else to add other than that.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell with that team at this point. And one last note, I guess, is obviously Sorokin could just go back to his 930 plus ways and
That would
start
help.
winning hockey
Yeah.
games. But I just think it's more than Sorokin being good, and I think it's a team defense problem. And I don't know how long it's going to take for Waugh to assess it. But like you said, they just beat one of a great Western Conference team his first game. So let's see if they can build off that.
It's a good
forward.
start. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
So yeah, I'll add that to the list of not only players and fan bases the Blackhawks are pissed off from beating them because they're a crappy team, but like tangible changes that have been made. There was I don't think the Blues fired Craig Berube like right after the Hawks game, but it was like a couple games after. So
it was that Monday.
There's two already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we play the Kings anytime soon? Because, well, I kind of want to talk about the Canucks in the game last. Well, there's not much to talk about the game last night. I kind of want to talk about the Canucks, but I'm more fascinated by the LA Kings because I picked them to be to represent the West in the Stanley Cup final this year, and I did that almost a month ago, and they were still in a very good position. but I remember last podcast I saw that side-by-side comparison that Dmitry Filipovic did. I forget what the records were, but at the beginning of the season, LA was third in the NHL, and then the Oilers were third last. And now, fast forward to now, the Oilers are in a divisional spot, and the Kings are holding on for dear life. They lost in a shootout last night to the to the Sharks, and looking at their team, coming into this year, you're thinking, oh, they have a very deep offense, and kind of the defense and goaltending was suspect, but that's not been the problem. The goaltending's been fine. Cam Telwood's been great for them, and they've been playing good defense. They just cannot score any goals. The Pierre-Luc Dubois trade has not worked out at all for them. I just who do they play next? Because if they don't get a win here soon, I think Tom, the highest paid head coach in the NHL, could get fired soon. Ooh, so they play Buffalo tomorrow night. I don't think the Blackhawks play them anytime soon, but yeah, and then they play Colorado Friday. So, man, what are your thoughts on the Kings?
It kind of goes back to what we talked about in the offseason. And I know I was one that was advocating that, Talbot's playing very well right now, but they did risk this going into the season with him and Copley as their 1-2 and thinking that was going to be enough. Granted, Rittich has started to perform well, but I don't know, man. Like, you traded for Dubois when the obvious trade was Hellebuyck, and I just can't unsee that. They didn't need Dubois. They had centers down the middle. They had forwards for that matter. They didn't have a goalie. That was the move. And obviously they could still make a move like that. I don't think
Nashville
Saros is on the
UC
market.
Saros.
Yeah, I don't think he's on the market, but you could give them a package that'll put him on the market.
They have the pieces too, yeah.
Their problem now is they're going to be in a bidding war. They could have done this in the offseason. Now you're going to be competing with Carolina to get a goalie. Now you're going to be competing with Toronto to get a goalie. Now you're going to be competing with insert team here that isn't getting saves at the moment. Like, it's just the way the sport works. Yeah, they're running out of options, and it doesn't help when you have some of your stars start to cool off a little bit. I know they have injuries, but I don't know, man. This was a team that, like, I guess the signs were there. They were just a really good road team to start early, but they weren't a good home team. And we talked about it maybe being the ice. I don't know. But it's just the wheels are falling off the wagon, as you'd say. And
the 18-wheeler.
Yeah, it's
maybe not that
good.
great, but yeah.
Like, their last 5, their leading point getter is Trevor Moore, which I love Trevor Moore, but 4 points in your last 5 is not going to cut it. Period. Like, that's not good enough, man. That's not good enough. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know what you do with that team. Like, you have to buy, you have to contend. There's no reason to sell off. You're right in the mix.
No. Yeah.
Doesn't help your situation that not only is Edmonton doing well, but Seattle has really picked it up as of late. It's a little bit more quiet than Edmonton because Edmonton's on a 13-game win streak or whatever it is. But, dude, you got to think of something fast. You should probably be counting your blessings that Vegas is injured to hell right now. Because if they weren't, they'd probably be pulling away from them too at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if McClellan will get fired per se. I think that might be an off-season move, personally. Unless they have a coach in line. There's plenty out there that they can go hire immediately. But, man, I don't know. If you lose to Buffalo tomorrow, it's bad. Is it in Buffalo or is it in LA?
I believe it is in Los Angeles.
All right. When you lose at home, bad to Buffalo, off rest. Yeah, that might raise some questions. I don't know. I don't envy the situation their management group's in right now because they're in a situation where you're kind of forced to buy, and I don't know where that's going to lead you. Granted, they have a bunch of prospects still. Like, they'll be fine, but their window was only so big to begin with guys like Kopitar and Doughty, and if they waste a year like this, it kind of reminds me of what the Sharks were doing at the back end, where they would just barely miss it, and it's because, like, they couldn't get the cohesion together, and it's like one of those seasons where you have all this talent and you wasted it because you couldn't put all the pieces together, and the main piece is the goalie. Plain and simple. I don't know. What do you think?
I had this thought pop in my head before we started the podcast. What if the Kings fired McClellan and got another former Oilers head coach that's beaten them the last couple of years? They hired Jay Woodcroft. Wouldn't that be interesting? Now I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I thought that would be interesting if they did do that and somehow the Oilers and the Kings meet in the first round again. But
where are they in the standings at the moment? That's the question.
So they're in the first wild card spot, and again, granted, the Pacific Division is so crazy right now. I still think Nashville's gonna fall. Like, I still think they probably make the playoffs, but man, the more and more they lose, and the more a team like Seattle and even Arizona and Nashville hang on, you just never know.
Why is Calgary at 47 points? Oh my gosh. Yeah, the West is a crapshoot, honestly. Like, the Kings need to rattle off a 5-game win streak to kind of solidify a playoff spot, or else they're going to be, like you said, they're going to be in the trenches come February, and that's not where you want to be, because that's basically, you're going to be in the situation Florida was last year, which could work. You could be fighting for your life up until the playoffs. Hell, it's worked for the Kings in the past. They've won a cup that way before. Maybe they need to go find their Jeff Carter move. I don't know. But
they find their Jeff Carter. They trade for Jeff Carter again from Pittsburgh.
Someone in the management room was like, "We thought Dubois was our Jeff Carter move." It's like, oh crap.
We got him from Columbus, or former Columbus Blue Jacket, I guess.
It just doesn't help that, like, you look at that Dubois trade and you look at Winnipeg and you look at two of the players they got in that trade, and they are such impact players for that team night in and night out, and Velarde and Iafallo. It's tough.
And Kupari has been solid for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like, it's tough, and I thought this team had better depth. Honestly, like, I need to pull up their. I need to pull
the
up
scoring is not great. Like, they're not scoring.
But they never did score. That's the thing. Like, I feel like Fiala's around point a game, Kempe's around point a game.
Well, like, Kempe was a 40 goal scorer last year. It's not, like they were.
Yeah, he's on pace for like 30 this year. That's tough. Trevor Moore's on pace for 40.
But a drop off, yeah. Well, that's the thing with the Kings. Like, they never have that, again, standout star, but they had so much depth, and the depth.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm looking at their scoring. Dare I say, make a save. Like, honestly, they're getting enough scoring. I'm looking at their, like, they have 8 players with at least 20 or more points, and then they have 16 with at least 9 or more. Like, and then goals wise, like, hold on 1 second. They have 6 dudes with at least 11 goals, and then 2 guys with 9 goals. Like, they are scoring enough. This comes down to the goaltending, in my opinion. And even then, goaltending, like, 870 for Copley. Yeah, that's terrible. Talbot's at a 915 now. That's dropped substantially since the last time we talked. And then Riddick has started 7 games and has a 930. We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah. But it's like, dude, they're like the West Coast Leafs right now without a 70 goal score.
Their team just is not in sync right now. And I ain't talking the boy band.
And it's not a team that can outscore their problems for as many goals as they're getting. It's just not how they're built. They're built to win 4-2 every night. And I guess it's another one of those situations where maybe it comes down to structure. I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully it's just a rut that they're going to get out of now, because the last thing you want is to be going downhill going into February, because sometimes you can't get out of that. So, like you said.
I still think they make the playoffs, but representing the West in the Stanley Cup final, that's that's aging like milk in the sun right now. There's like Vancouver is just running away with it. Like, we can talk about which team do you want to talk about first? Because two of the 3 best teams at the top are from Vancouver or Winnipeg. Which one do you want to kind of like talk about the game last night and talk about the Canucks, then go on to the Jets? Sure. All right, let's do that. So yeah, the Blackhawks did lose to the Canucks 2-0, and honestly, like, with how the game started, I thought it was gonna be like a rout, whatever, be like 5-6-0, and well, they made it competitive, but it's been the same old story of the past. Well, ever since Bedard's got injured, even before that, where they're not giving up a lot. They outshot the Canucks, which I saw was the first time they've outshot a team on the road since like the end of November, and they've just been struggling on the road. They can't do anything. So all in all, I thought it was a solid effort, but obviously the the big names on the Canucks are showing up. Thatcher Demko is one of the best goalies in the NHL. Quinn Hughes, man, oh man, like not only Norris candidate for me, and I know McKinnon and Kucherov are big heart favorites, but Quinn Hughes has to get some heart love. He is so good on the defense. He is not even a defenseman; he's just a rover. He's all over the place. He's wherever he wants to be, and Kevin Korchinski can be that once he hits his prime. Oh man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, Vancouver. Their top guys are getting it done, and they're getting depth goal scoring. That line of Dakota Joshua. I'm blanking out on the other person, and
Teddy
it's Connor
Bluger.
Garland. Yeah, Teddy Bluger, let's go! And then Pius Suter scored, so there's that. It's just another loss where you add that to the tank, even though I don't think you're catching San Jose, but it guarantees you a top 5 pick, and you got a good effort. But man, it's a struggle to see this almost every game now. But at least that Islanders game was fun.
Yeah, they just can't finish. That's what it comes down to. They can't generate offense, and that's what it's going to be for the rest of the season, which is why I need emphasis from the management group to actually fill this roster with some pulse of talent, because you can't have this again next year. But that's besides the point. I feel like the point that should be made is that Vancouver stuck to their guns this offseason. They didn't trade anyone. They kept everyone around. For God's sakes, Connor Garland requested a trade, and he's half point a game right now, and he's putting up the best analytics he's put up in at least 3 years. This team is a analytic darling, PDO bender.
Oh my god, what are they at 105?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They have 12 guys with at least 20 points, which is just insane to think about. They have 3 people with at least 20 or more goals, 2 with at least 25 or more in Pedersen and Besser. It's ridiculous depth right now, and they're playing sound defensive hockey. Demko looks like the goalie we all thought he could be.
Top 5 goalie in the NHL.
100%.
Best in the candidate, yeah.
Tyler Myers has been great this year. Hronek's been great for them this year. Mikheyev has been a bright spot. Dakota Joshua, I think, has really developed into a solid middle sixer. Does not get talked about enough. And this is the craziest thing is they're doing this in a year where Kuzmenko is half point a game, coming off a year where he had 75 points or something.
Assist. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's still sick, but it's just that's how deep they are this year. Someone can have a down year like that, but it's I think it's just finally all those guys that we knew had the talent are finally showing it. Like Besser's on pace for 50. Pedersen's a Hart candidate. You have Hughes, who, in my opinion, should be running away with the Norris.
Should win the Norris, yeah.
Like, absolutely. Yeah, Makar is amazing, but also, like, what Quinn Hughes is doing is insane right now. Especially considering, like, just who he's playing with on a nightly basis. It's usually Tyler Myers. Like, that's an astounding feat. Also, like, they picked up Nikita Zadorov halfway through the year. I thought that was a solid pickup for them. Fits right in with their mold on defense, especially with Susie going down with injury. So now they'll have like 7 or 8 guys come playoff time. Another thing they were talking about is they don't have that good of a penalty kill. Like, it's just starting to turn it around. Like, I think they just got above 80%. So if that can get turned around with that dynamic power play, I don't know, man. Just keep it going and stay healthy to the playoffs, and who knows what's going to happen with that team. But they are loaded right now. They are loaded.
They've definitely caught lightning in a bottle, and every line is just firing on all cylinders. There's no weak link. Like Rick Tocchet's probably going to win the Jack Adams, him or Rick Bowness. But we saw this team in 2019, 2020, even before, the COVID ended, stopped the world for a few months, stopped hockey for a few months. Like, they were gunning for a playoff spot, and then in that bubble, they gave Vegas all they could handle. Remember Thatcher Demko came in after Markstrom, and like, I think I looked this up not too long ago. He had like a 0.6 goals against average, like a 980 save percentage, which is that I have no words to describe that, but they don't have Bo Horvat, but they still have obviously their goalie Thatcher Demko. They got Quinn Hughes manning the blue line, and Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, Brock Besser. Like, they've had the pieces, just never come all together for the Canucks. And I've seen they're going to buy at the deadline as they should. I don't think they have a great prospect pool, but like, fuck it, man. Like, these guys aren't getting any younger. Like, who knows? Like maybe this could be the year for the Canucks. They had so many good teams, 10, 15 years ago, but the almost got done in 2011, but they didn't. Maybe this is the year that they go on a crazy run and win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. I it's so wide open. Like I don't think there's a clear favorite. Like I don't think there's a team like the 2022 Avs where it's like, oh, they're like this is their vengeance year. They, been knocking on the door, or even like the 2020 Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I think it's so wide open right now. Fuck it. Like Jim Rutherford got a 3-year extension, and Patrick Allvin, like trade all those first round picks, trade those prospects, and get some pieces back. Maybe you look to Calgary, get Elias Lindholm, and maybe you look to Pittsburgh and get Jake Gensel. But yeah, they've seemed to caught lightning in a bottle. Why not go for it this year?
Right. I don't want to look too far ahead in the playoffs just because we don't really know what's going to happen.
There's still 3 months to go.
For God's sakes, Boston just had 65 wins and got bounced in the first round. Like, I'm not going to go as far as to say they're going to make a cup run. Like I said, you just got to keep this mojo going and going into the playoffs. Like we've seen it time and time again. If you could be hot going in, it's kind of hard to cool you off. You know what I mean? Like we saw it with the Panthers last year, saw it with so many teams in the past. Just you gotta keep your foot on the gas, can't take it off. We saw it many times with some Hawks teams where, especially I feel like that 2017 Hawks team, they kind of just took their foot off the gas the last 3 weeks of the season, and they were never able to get it back. So you just don't want to be in that situation, and I don't think they will. But I don't know. You just got to keep the good vibes going, keep your foot on the gas, do not slow down, because sometimes if you slow down, you can't speed back up. And I'm not saying I'm worried about that's going to happen with this team. I just don't want it to happen to this team because they are young too, or in terms of playoff experience, they're young.
Yeah, no, every team was like the 2015 Hawks, where I think they lost 4 going into the playoffs, but then obviously going to win the Stanley Cup. It's
scored 3 goals in 4 games or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that, but they also had like Kane out, and I think they were sitting a few guys. But anyways, On to the other Canadian team, the Winnipeg Jets, who I believe had their first game that they allowed more than, I think, 3 goals in like since November or something. Like it was like 30 game streak where they didn't allow more than 3 goals, which is crazy. And the team they lost to was the Boston Bruins, who are a cockroach who got hit by the nuclear bomb of Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci leaving, and they're still going. They're still second in the NHL and first in the Eastern Conference. But the Winnipeg Jets kind of in the same boat as the Vancouver Canucks. They've always had the talent, but they've just never really put it together. The Jets had their run in 2018, and they've had a couple of series like that 2019 series against the Blues. I feel if they win that, they could have gone on a deep run that year, but you kind of wondered with all the talent and everything that happened, could this be it for the Jets? Like, can they not win with this core of players? And they got rid of Pierre-Luc Dubois, got rid of Blake Wheeler, and that seemed to get rid of all the toxicity in the room, and they're doing perfectly fine now. And that's kind of the same with the Canucks. Like, I remember last year it was like, oh, such bad vibes, and Bo Horvat's gone, and now JT Miller actually cares, but anyways, the Jets, it seems they got rid of all that toxicity and everyone's playing to their full potential now. Connor Hellebuck should run away with the Vezina. Josh Morrissey has turned into one of the best defensemen in the NHL, should be in consideration for the Norris. And obviously Mark Sharpley has always been a great player. Now they have him bottom defensively. I don't know if the metrics are amazing, but clearly good enough. If Winnipeg is one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the NHL, you must have a small part in that. And obviously Kyle Connor, one of the most underrated players in the NHL. Nick Ehlers, like they're just top to bottom. They're such a good team, and they're all bought in, and it's nice to see them play the way they've been playing this year.
100%. I really think that they've shown a tremendous, like it's a complete turnaround from the Jets teams we've seen the last 5 years that have struggled defensively, that have just kind of been running gun offensively.
Yeah.
Let's outscore every team and hope Hellebuck can make as many saves. No, they are a structured hockey team. This is hockey that will trade.
And they still have Hellebuck making the saves. Yeah.
Yep. And if they keep that up in the playoffs, like that's a tough team to face. And we talk about it all the time. All those teams that just grind you down it's hard to play against, and they're one of those teams that can do that and run and gun if they need to because they have enough offensive talent when they're healthy. And they're deeper this year than Jets teams have usually been, and that's because of the Dubois trade. They basically got a whole line of players in that trade.
Yeah.
Velarde has been tremendous as a top 6 player on that team. Iafallo has been a great middle 6 piece for that team. Like you said, Ehlers has taken that step while Kyle Connor's been out, and it's been seamless almost. Mark Scheifele has taken a whole new step to his game, I feel like, that we haven't seen. Kind of shows who was dragging down the line when he was there the last couple of years. We're not going to get into that, though.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. It's just an impressive feat. Like you said, Morrissey's incredible on the back end. He's a motor every time he's got the puck. They're just big on the back end besides him, and they're hard to get by. They play structured hockey, like I said. I feel like everyone's bought in, which is a big thing you see with teams like that. Like, you need every single player to buy into that play style for it to succeed, and they have. Credit to Rick Bowness where it's due. I probably give him the Jack Adams. I know you probably give it to Tocchet, but
it's Tocchet or him. Yeah, it's a wash.
Yeah, I think what Bowness has done structurally and defensively is incredible. And I dare I say somewhat sustainable if you can get everyone to keep doing this. Like, they have had injuries and it has not slowed them down. It's amazing. They've gone 30 something games with allowing 3 goals or less. It's an incredible feat, man. Like, I don't even know. I can't, like, I don't remember those Boston teams doing that. I don't remember those Tampa teams doing that. It's a different breed of hockey that we're seeing, and I feel like it's a nice balance to all the high octane offenses we have in the league nowadays. To just have a team that's going to, no, we're gonna make you fit in. You're gonna make this square peg fit in the round hole. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to go through us, or sorry, you're gonna have to learn how to adapt, or you will die. And that's kind of how.
Or you get bought out.
Or you get bought out. Yeah.
Or traded to Los Angeles. Yeah.
Oh man. But I think they're in good shape. I think they'll be fine. Especially because everyone else in the Central seems to either not as much to be slacking, but to just, they seem to have their own problems to deal with and their own inconsistencies to deal with, which is allowing them to pull away.
Yeah, Dallas, they have Heiskanen now, and I think they'll put together. Colorado is primarily a one-line team. I'm kind of skeptical on whether or not they could have another deep playoff run, but it's funny because I think Winnipeg reminds me of Vegas from last year, where they just seem like a buzzsaw, and like Vegas took care of Winnipeg last year, just like they did with pretty much every team that they played. But after they lost to Vegas last year, Rick Bowness said that he was disgusted with their effort, and I'm pretty sure the only player that objected was Blake Wheeler, and they bought him out. Pierre-Luc Dubois didn't want to be in Winnipeg. They got rid of him, and it just seems like they got rid of that. Now all the guys they still have are still very talented guys, but Rick Bowness it's like my way or the highway. Everyone's bought in and it's working out, and again, kind of the same thing with Vancouver. You got that number 1 goalie with Connor Hellebuyck, who right now is playing the best goalie in hockey and should win the Vezina. Josh Morrissey is going to get some Vezina love. Norris love. I mean, he's preventing goals, so he's helping preventing goals. Like, he's helping prop up that defense, and obviously the forward core. It's always been great. They've always had great pieces. They're still producing that offense, but now they're not, getting shelled defensively. They're very good defensively, and just like the way they play, I think it's pretty reminiscent of what Vegas did last year, and I think they can take what they learned from losing to them and do that to other teams this year, and they're going to add at the deadline as well. I know they will.
Yeah, they're going to just continue to add, and I feel like that's the scary part when you think about teams like that.
Like, I didn't even mention Cole Perfetti. Like, they're so good, man. Like, they have so much depth.
They're deep, and they're going to get deeper. They've drafted well over the last couple of years.
They've always been a good draft. The thing is with the Jets, like, they've been almost too conservative. Like, Kevin Cheveldayoff doesn't really make too many trades, but I feel with how they're playing right now, I think he's going to buck that trend and makes a couple moves at the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think you have to. But you have to reward your team for how well they've played.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Absolutely. Do they still have the Dylan Schmidt pairing there?
That's why they're so good
Let's
defensively,
go!
bro.
That's
Come
why
on,
they're doing so well.
that's why they're elite.
Oh my god. It's why Vegas won the cup last year because they had a Stevenson on the team. One year we
Real.
got a Stevenson winning a cup, and then the next year we got a Dylan Schmidt winning the
Oh, hell yeah.
cup. We're so here.
PJS cast line.
It's so PJ's cast coded. The NHL script writers, they're listening to us right now.
I can't believe they do that. That's so nice of them.
Kind of wanted to talk about Boston because I did want to talk about Edmonton next because they won 13 in a row and signed Corey Perry, but I just kind of want to quickly touch on Boston because what Winnipeg did was impressive, but I think it's equally as impressive what Boston has done to lose Bergeron and Krejci. They still have the best goaltending tandem in the NHL. They have one of the best defensive. Like you got Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm, all that, and center core isn't as deep as it was, but you know, you got Matthew Poitras, who's like a 19-year-old and he's playing in the NHL and doing well. You got Charlie Coyle, who's really stepped up. I know because he's on my fantasy team. Obviously, you still got Marchand, Pasternak, and future Chicago Blackhawk Jake DeBrusk. I feel they're an Elias Lindholm away from potentially making a deep run. It's just no matter who they lose, the Boston Bruins are good. It's that team culture. It's the coaching. It's incredible. I just kind of want to give them some credit. 29, 8-9. So they've lost more in overtime than they've lost in regulation.
Yeah, I mean they're a tremendous hockey team. Pasternak's having a stellar season, 67-46. Like it's not even getting talked about because everyone else is because of the other seasons other players are having. But
McKinnon and Kucherov are 10 points ahead of them. Yeah.
You know, it's really funny to me because everyone's complaining about Brad Marchand's like 5-on-5 production, and he's got 44 and 46. Like this sounds like the Patrick Kane thing where it's like, oh, his analytics aren't good anymore. Oh, well, he still puts up.
Oh, well, he sucks. So,
yeah. Charlie Coyle's got 38 and 46. Like, come on. James Van Riem's like 29 and 42.
That's
like,
so funny.
Trent Frederick's got 25 points this year, bro. Like Morgan Geeky, 23 and 40, finally breaking out after me saying he's gonna break out 2 years ago. Yeah, like they're getting depth scoring. All their signings have paid off. Like, oh no, Linus Ullmark's 913. Don't worry, Jeremy Swayman's a 923. Like they bought in the Jim Montgomery style of play. Don Sweeney continues to make good moves that have benefited the core, and like you said, you can't help but tip your cap at the moment. They're 1 point out of leading the league in points again. They could very well win the President's Trophy again this year if they continue this.
They're probably going to take the Atlantic again.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless Florida gets out the slump, like they're going to start pulling away with this division real quick. So that's going to be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see which wildcard team they get because as of right now, I think they get Tampa. So that would be a doozy in round one.
I need Tampa to miss the playoffs so that way we can get the 11th overall pick.
Well, they're 2 points away from doing it. New Jersey and the Islanders are right behind them.
New Jersey, 2 games in hand and 2 points behind. Better points percentage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, like, the Atlantic's a shit show, but Boston's sitting there very comfortably at first place right now. Like, second place is 7 points off. Third place is 13 points off. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
They're in a good spot, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to give Boston their due again. Back to the other Canadian team that's doing well, and Western Canada, to be specific. The hottest of to be specific, because they're Oilers and the Canucks are in the Pacific, not the Jets. Yuck. Geographic humor. So the Oilers have won 13 in a row, and they have now signed Corey Perry, which I mean, we still really don't know what happened, but I'll say this: what happened with Corey Perry, I hope he's doing better now. Like he's fixed the problems that he had. Now all that aside, that's a perfect fit with the Oilers. Again, don't really know what happened with Perry, but the Oilers have kind of shown time and time again that they don't really care about the optics, those kind of things.
They're trying to win a cup.
Yeah, they're trying to win a cup, which I respect that. They signed Evander Kane a couple of years back. after he got terminated by the Sharks, and that's worked out for them well mostly. And I think the same with Corey Perry, fits in perfectly. And not that the Oilers are a fun team to play against, but that just makes them less fun to play against. Like again, we talk about Vegas like just being a buzzsaw to all the teams they faced last year. I think Edmonton gave them the hardest competition on way to the cup, and adding Corey Perry potentially playing on a line with Evander Kane and whoever the hell else. Like, yeah, have fun with that. Have fun with that on the power play. You got to worry about those two while you have McDavid, Drysdale, and Bouchard slinging the puck around. So, um, yeah, the Oilers, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg for them. They're gonna make more moves. They have to. This is with how hot they've been playing. This is their year to do it, man. Like go all out and do whatever you can. Because next year, I'm pretty sure next year is the last year of Drysdale's contract, so I think he's eligible to sign an extension come July 1st, and then
Yeah.
McDavid's the year after that. So
This is
do
the
it, man.
time.
Like they're rolling. They're rolling. Like I don't know if they're gonna catch Vancouver for the Pacific, but like they could crawl in a second with Vegas slumping now.
100%. And I think we were talking about what Edmonton should do at the deadline a couple of pods ago. I said they should go
Gensel.
you said Gensel. I said they should get someone to help their bottom six. This is exactly what I like. I wasn't thinking Corey Perry at the time, but like this is the type of move I was talking about.
Perfect
You get
fit,
someone
yeah.
who's just a pain in the ass to play against. We saw it on the Hawks. Like he still can play. Like he can play power play. He can play penalty kill. He can play defensively. Still play well defensively. Yeah, he can't skate for shit, but like he can do shit better than most guys on your team. So
you know who also
I was gonna say, and Edmonton can fly for most state. You can have a slow guy on that team. You'll be fine. But
I was gonna say, you know, also couldn't skate a couple of years back in the playoffs, but still won 2 points per game. Leon Draisaitl. I think.
Yeah, that's never stopped him in the past. Yeah, that's true. And he signed at league min, so you're gonna be able to go pick someone else up at the deadline. So it's good for them. And I keep the hot streak going. It'd be funny if the Hawks could somehow.
I was gonna say
Thursday.
So they play the Blue Jackets tonight, which they should be. I mean, if they lose to Columbus, then I mean, whatever. The streak's gonna end eventually, but I believe the longest winning streak in NHL history was the 92-93 Penguins. They won 17 in a row. The Columbus Blue Jackets won 16 in a row back in 2016-17. There's been a few recent teams, like I think the 2009-10 Caps won 14-15 in a row. And I think the Oilers are like in like seventh on like the longest win streak in NHL history. So yeah, if they win tonight, they're at 14. And I mean, it would be so funny if the Blackhawks could break their winning streak, deny them of winning 15 games in a row. That'll be my Stanley Cup.
Right. It'd be good, honestly. And I think they've played the Oilers relatively well, both games they've played so far. So are you going to that game on Thursday?
No, I was going to, but I'm like, nah.
And no, Bedard, I won't be there. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much. But we're planning on going to. I think they're playing Colorado sometime in March, and there's a Vegas game I want to go to. If the Oilers could play Vegas in round one again, that would be fun. Like, I do want the Oilers to win the cup. Like, that's a tough draw in round one, but just as a pure hockey fan, Oilers Vegas round one. Give me.
Yeah, I need the rematch. I need Michael versus McDavid one more time. I need it.
Mm-hmm. And then who knows, round two, Vancouver. That'd be like just like living in Edmonton. That might be the best run they could go on, is if play Vegas in round one, beat them. Second round, they play the Canucks, beat them, and then go on to the Western Conference Final, play Winnipeg. And then they go to the Cup final and they play Toronto. Let's go! That might be the most toxic.
So reality, they're all eliminated by round two, and then the Stars win the Cup.
That's probably how it's going to work. Honestly.
No, I was going to say, though, instead of the Jets, you got to have them go through the Avs. You got to have them go through the team that beat them 2 years ago.
That would be cool.
It's got to be the Capitals run. They got to go through all the teams. Mm-hmm. I guess Toronto would be the
the Canucks. Switch them with the Jets because Vegas beat them, Winnipeg beat them, and the Avs beat them. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
You're
There
talking
we
about running
go.
the gauntlet.
So the
yeah.
Avs need to get to a wild card or something. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's gotta work. We gotta have Edmonton go through all their demons.
All their
Script writers,
demons.
get to it.
Get on that. Write that down. Write that down.
Write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
Who in the East would be their boogeyman? I don't know.
No one.
No one. Yeah.
They
I'm
haven't
trying
been
to
good
think.
enough to have one.
No.
Did they get into any beef with like Montreal or the Leafs when they were?
No.
in the division
No.
together?
This is what happens. We go all the way back to 2006, and they beat Carolina.
Okay. Chris Ponger's coming back from the dead to fucking.
Dwayne
Yeah,
Rollison's
guys.
gonna be goalie. Let's go. Then
Jesus.
Blackhawks legend Fernando Pisani's gonna come back.
Rod's gonna skate up and line up next to Aho on the final face-off. Jesus,
Oh my god,
terrifying.
it's like a Disney movie. Need a hand, Sebastian Aho at the face-off. There's Rod Brennamore.
Jesus. On your left is just fucking
Mighty
Rod Brennamore coming
Mighty
out of the
Ducks.
portal.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's just the Mighty Ducks. We'll do this last skate together, and they do the flying V.
Oh man.
I crack myself up sometimes.
Doesn't it go Nutter Butters?
It goes the most Nutter Butters, the nuttiest of butters.
The nuttiest butter you'll ever butter.
The nuttiest butter you'll ever butter. I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it either.
It's like that Family Guy clip of Peter where he's like, I can't. And he like goes to the insane room with a straitjacket. I can't believe
doing
they
this for
went
3
Nutter
days.
Butters. All right. I think that's all I wanted to cover in hockey. There's no Blackhawks at the All-Star game. There's no Jason Dickinson. There's no Peter Mrazek. So sad.
Hot take, no one gives a shit about the All-Star game. Everyone complaining isn't going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care.
Can't wait to see how minuscule their ratings are this year. But guys, Tate McRae is going to be a team captain. Jeez. Give me a break. Sports stinks. They can't get out of their own way ever. Anyways, sorry. I'm not a fan of the All-Star game.
I've never. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think anyone.
Dude,
yeah.
last time I watched it was like 2018, maybe.
The last one I can think of is the John Scott one.
Yeah, I just remember 2018 because that one was in Tampa, and
that would have been the Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel. Yeah.
Eric Carlson getting a goal challenge and stuff like that was. I don't remember any of them after that. I don't.
Oh my god, that's why I don't watch that. And then there's Pierre McGuire saying, "This is why we watch hockey" or something like that. Like, if you're not a fan of hockey, too, like, you should be watching.
I can't. The sport stinks. The sport stinks so much. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's talk about a different sport. What do you think about the how the NFL playoffs have unfolded?
Gotta be the most not predictable, but like the most boring outcome for every game. They're good games, don't get me wrong, but like I wanted the Ravens to win, they won, but like
wide right,
Niners winning, obvious. Chiefs winning, like of course Chiefs won. Lions winning.
It's because Taylor Swift was here, obviously.
Oh my god. I need Lamar to end that shit next week. I don't know, man. I'm so dejected from the playoffs this year. I don't like if Lamar doesn't win, I really don't want anyone to win. I don't want to. I really am already sick of the Lions crap. Call me a hater. I don't care. They're a division rival. I'm not cheering for them. Like, it's not happening. They get to suffer just as much as everyone else. You know what? Make the Super Bowl and lose. It'll be funnier. Let's just put it that way. Even if they lose next week, it'll be funny. But I don't want to see the Niners win. I don't.
They've won recently, right?
They're already comparing Brock Purdy to Joe Montana, which just makes me
no way.
I fucking can't with this sport, dude.
I know
really
nothing
can't.
about football, and even I know that's
Brock Purdy's a
that's
great
the
story.
Slow particle.
Do not compare him to Joe Montana. That is fucking ridiculous. And I mean, if Mahomes wins again, cool. Like, gets another ring. Like, he's really fucking good. I don't know what I don't know what else to say. Guess this one's a little more impressive because he had to overcome Matt Nagy, but like, I don't know. He's got the best defense he's had in any of these championship years. He should win this year, even without having receivers. He's that fucking good. He should figure it out. And he did last week. They couldn't stop him last week. Shocker. He's the best quarterback on the planet. Sorry, man. I'm so dejected from these playoffs. It's not like
I gathered.
if the AFC doesn't win, that means either Brock Purdy or Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl. And I don't think I can live with that personally. I don't think I can. Sport's fucking dead if that happens.
Who was the guy who missed the kick on the Bills?
Tyler Bass, more like Tyler Ass. Trash.
Yeah, that's
he went 1 for 3 the week before.
Ugh.
And Josh Allen plays a great game and then throws 2 melon throws, which forced the field goal. Like, it's what Buffalo does, man. It's what Buffalo does. They find ways to lose. I feel bad for Jacob. I think he's numb to it at this point.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob. Yeah, he's used to it. The friggin' Bengals beat them, I think, last year. So
yeah,
and they're in the playoffs this year.
The fact that they made it this far, starting 6-6 and having all the injuries they had, is impressive in itself. But this was the year the Bills had to do it, and they couldn't do it. So Josh Allen's cap hit goes up over double now. This is why it's so important you win in that rookie contract window, because now you're paying your quarterback $50 million instead of $15 million. And that's a difference. That costs 2 or 3 roster players right there, like good roster players. And like the Chargers are going to go through that with Justin Herbert this offseason. For Bengals the last 2 years, Mahomes has gone through that with the Chiefs since he's gotten his extension. It's what you got to do. Like Lamar is going to go through it next year when his deal kicks in. It's a big thing, dude. And not winning in these years matters for guys like Allen. Guys like the Packers, they'll probably be back. They lost because their kicker stinks too. Bucks are in a flux. Don't really know what they're going to do. They could keep Baker. They could move off him. That's their choice. Feel like it would have probably suited them better if they missed the playoffs, then they can move on to the coach.
You just gotta feel so bad for Tampa Bay sports these last few years. It's just so rough.
You
there.
really don't.
You really, under no circumstances,
got. You really don't. You really. They don't even feel bad for themselves. And then they complain about it, and then we all just roll our eyes. So it's whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Conference championships this weekend. Hope the games are good. Most of the games have been good, but some of them have been blowouts, which is annoying to say the least. But 3 out of 4 divisional games were close. I'll take it.
You know what I want? I just want to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. The hardest trophy to win in all sports.
You know, someone had a heart attack and came back on the ice when they did. Or someone's heart stopped and then they came back on
LeBron James, cramp in leg, missed 6 weeks. Hockey player dies on bench. When is the game still going? Or
can we make a new rule that if you use a meme with that font style past 2020,
and if you do it unironically,
Jesus, like you need to be tested. Like
I remember. There was one with Steven Stamkos that's just slap shot to the face. Yeah, I'm cool, bro.
Dustin Brown with the Gatorade bottle. I can go to potato. Oh man.
That's gonna be the name of the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, and now modern day hockey memes are either fan cam of Jack Hughes or
any of the Hughes brothers.
Yeah, picture of Quinn Hughes looking like he's in the dungeon in SpongeBob. Like, Jesus. I don't know, man. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't know how we got here.
That's a great question. How do we get to anywhere in life? I'll leave you with that to ponder, listeners. We're almost at an hour. I think this is a good place to end things off. We're not going to go super long today. Exactly. So I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, but we're gonna aim to record on Friday, and by then we're gonna find out that the Blackhawks are to beat the Oilers win streak. So
I love your enthusiasm.
I'm
You're-
just the most gosh darn enthusiasm guy. That's why they
You're
call
just so
me.
enthused.
That's why they call me positive step pep in my step Pierce. That's what they call me.
Mhm.
That's what they refer to me around these parts. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Give us a 5-star rating on your preferred podcast platform, whether that is Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Podcast. They went on pretty much every gosh darn platform out there. If you're watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, give us a 5-star rating. No. Subscribe to us. Smash that like button. Like as well.
Smash that
and
like button.
Smash! Click the link in the description below
Below.
to check out more bloopers. Yeah.
Click the link below.
Hi, Stevie. Thanks for subscribing.
Bye.
Bye. See you on the next week of Mail Time with Smush. All right. Yeah, let's end it off. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night now. Peace out, y'all.